Welcome to RC Underground Radio.
We're racing toy cars here.
If you've been looking for a podcast that talks about one RC tracks, suppliers, and events, then you're in the right place.
I haven't changed my underwear since the Kenman.
See,
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It's
I didn't
the
want
same.
to go there.
It's this.
And we're glad you're here. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Retzloff and David Brinkman.
I am a BB in a boxcar. You know, Dave, I've been a little excited today, and it's like you know how you.
And it's not just because we have Friday off.
No, it's not that. It's like I was literally like laying in bed last night. I'm like, man, I can't wait for the next guest, and I have so many questions, a lot of questions, just because I'm a huge fanboy of them. They've done a lot for me, and kind of, you know, all of my cars. They do some pretty cool stuff with them, and I'm kind of jacked up a little bit to talk.
So
to
who do
this
we
thing.
have? Who do we have?
Well,
I mean, I know, but
of course you know, but I'll just let the cat out of the bag. So, Carpy's. If you haven't heard about them, we've got our buddy Derrek from Carpy's coming on today, and I'm super excited about it because if you love 1RC and you love to personalize your ride, whichever body it is that you have or car that you have, these guys got it going on. And the designs are absolutely incredible that his team comes up with. And I can't wait to just kind of pick his brain and get a little bit more into what they do, because anytime you go on the website, you can pick from, it seems like 1,000 bodies. They've got every manufacturer in there and like all this cool stuff. And you're kind of like, it allows you to get your creativity out. So
I can tell you're Jack.
I am. I've been thinking about this for like
So I'm going to pull
2
the
weeks.
seatbelt tight on you real quick for a second.
All right.
And ladies and gentlemen, let him tell the story.
Darn it. I thought it was mine to tell.
Please help us welcome Derrek from Carpy's. Derrek, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You guys are all too flattering.
Yeah, right?
Can you?
Yeah.
So, Derrek.
Yeah.
I gotta know, like, what got you into this business? What started all this for you?
Well, first off, so I have a quick story for you. So this is only the second podcast I've ever been a guest on, right? The first one I was on, we did printing for silk screening for like a NASCAR podcast.
Okay.
There's a couple like ex-crew members, they had a podcast. And my follow-up, I was the follow-up guest to Bobby Allison, which I thought was like pretty cool, like feather in the cap, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening to last week's podcast, getting ready to come on for this week. And I'm like, man, I get to follow Matt Murphy. That's bigger than Bobby Allison.
I hope.
Well, the downfall with that podcast was after I was the guest, there was only one more episode, and then it got discontinued. So hopefully that's not the case this time.
No.
So we want to thank Derrek for joining us. We'll see you later. No, we're all good. We're all good with it.
So how long ago did you, Derrek, how long ago did you get into this thing and print? Because it's a massive industry, and it seems like there's a lot of people that do it. Let me get a little bit of backstory here.
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been into the arts, and when I went away to college, I started up just like a little clothing line out of my dorm room, and I'd print shirts and sling them off to other people in the dorms. When I moved back home, I ended up working for a print shop for about 4 or 5 years, doing their graphic design work. And then kind of from there, I moved to their embroidery department. And then I guess in a sense, got tired of making them money and wanted to do it for myself.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
So, and that was in 2013 when I started going on my own. And it was kind of a process. It was just me working out of my grandfather's spare room in his trailer, printing stuff in my underwear because it was so hot.
We all got to start somewhere, buddy.
Right. Anyway,
but yeah,
sorry.
and we were fortunate enough to kind of grow that. And then 2017, I went full time with it. And now we just hired our 8th person
Wow.
going in. We're just started our 10th year. So
Well,
pretty exciting stuff.
And just think of that. I mean, you did all this. Sure, you got off to a little start before it hit, but I mean, your growth really started kind of during COVID, right? When most people are
Yeah.
afraid of getting a business going and any chance of it expanding, let alone not closing. And like,
Yeah.
you really started taking off around that time.
Yeah. It was interesting because so before that happened, I'd always wanted to really work on the back end stuff of like our website or our marketing. And, with just the day to day, we never had time to really focus on that as much as I wanted to. And with COVID, when that hit, the first 2 weeks, we were shut down. We're in New York and they shut everything down. So we couldn't be printing or couldn't even be in the shop. So I just took those 2 weeks and kind of dove real deep into like the back end stuff, the SEO, just different marketing tactics, our sponsorship programs that we have for drivers, which is a little unique to other platforms, at least in the RC world. And all those things kind of merged at the right time and things opened back up. And yeah, the RC stuff since COVID probably quadrupled.
Yeah, it's funny because that's right about the time when I got into it, and it probably, at least for me, was maybe a timing thing because here I got my first 1RC car and wanted to get some cool wraps, and I did the eBay thing and stuff and got some okay stuff, but it didn't impress me much, and there was no customization to it. And then, I started going on all the Facebook pages and Instagram and all of that, and Carpy's just kept popping up. And I'd see some of these designs, and I was absolutely blown away. And then it was just a couple of emails, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, my wallet opened up and, take it away. I want to touch a little bit later on, too, about that driver sponsorship and, what's so unique about that. But your online presence is fantastic. Your posts, they're, between Instagram, Facebook, even your website. I mean, it's really tight, and you make it really easy for people to transact with you, which I think is neat. And the customer service, I think, is just out of this world. I mean, the group of people that you have running that side of the house. Kudos to them. They just over communicate, which is really nice for your customer base. Kind of gives people a peace of mind, right, when they're ordering and going for that custom wrap. But you've got like so many entities of this business, because I mean, you mentioned you started out clothing, which I know you do some of that. I've seen wraps for go-karts. I've seen how big is this business? Because every time I go on, it seems like you guys are doing something else.
Yeah, we've expanded quite a bit. So, like I said, we started with silk screening, and that was our main business for a long time. And then we got into the vinyl printing. So we do shirts for everything from schools, stock car teams, a rodeo, like any event you can think of. And the really exciting thing is, honestly, like our local market is like the smallest portion of business that we do. Like what you were saying, our online presence is very successful, which is allowing us we're shipping out almost everything, whether it's RC or t-shirts or banners. Like we have a good, I think, national brand that really works out very well for us. But yeah, we do silk screening, we do stock car wraps, RC wraps, banners, engraving, embroidery, probably some other stuff that I can think of offhand. But yeah, we tackle a pretty wide amount of stuff, considering we only have 8 people.
Yeah, your shop's pretty massive. Some of the pictures that I've seen, for sure.
Yeah, Derek, did you really set a plan for the RC segment of the business to grow as big as it did, or was it more out of interest? Like you're part of the hobby, or did you really put a focus and say, I think this RC community is a good target, and let's go for it?
Yeah, I think honestly, no, not off the start. I ended up doing some stuff just for myself, and I didn't. So there's not money in RC unless you're doing it by volume. So to do like some handful of wraps here and there is fine, but doesn't not justifiable, especially if you're paying someone. So I started out just doing it because I'm in the hobby and I like the hobby. But over time, I kind of realized that this could be like a real, successful portion of our business if we did it right. And I think that's where like the website and all that stuff being real tight and organized is where we, I think, succeed over some of the others. Um, Originally I was taking, the people would send a Facebook message and we take the order that way. And it just got to be very overwhelming. And then you also have to weed out the people who are serious about ordering. So we ended up wasting a lot of time, people kicking tires. So we wanted to build a platform where people could go on and easily find what they're looking for. Our goal is not to really be the fastest or the cheapest. It's to be the most consistent and highest quality.
One of the things that I'll admit, it was very easy to find the 1RC products or, the McAllister products on your website. And then you click on it, and you see the price and you go, ooh, however, what you're getting for that is excellent customer service, right? Because once you submit it within 5 days, roughly 5 days, sometimes there's holidays or whatnot in there, but you will get an amazing proof back. And if there's minor tweaks that you want to make to it, or you don't like a color or something, you let the team know. And within the next business day, usually you have your final proof, you authorize it, and you're right. It's in the mail. It's ready to go. And the best part is you pull it out, lay it out, and it's ready to go on the car. A little bit of water, you get your scraper out or your credit card like I use, and you put it on the car and it just looks perfect every time. You don't have to do all this trimming, and it's the detail that you guys put into this stuff is so cool. And I also enjoy too, like when I see all your social media posts, like just that seeing my wrap being printed is kind of neat. But you're right. Your website makes it very easy to find these cars because there are so many bodies between Shark, McAllister, all Proline, all the others. It's a one-stop shop if you're really looking for race car graphics, for RC. And I don't know. And I've gotten to the point now where I've got my colors, my whole paint scheme, everything. I just email the guys and say, "Yep, it's me again," and boom, I usually get a wrap pretty quick in the mail. So.
Yeah, the one thing I'll add to that too is I haven't bought as many as Ryan has. As I'm looking on his shelf right now, I can't even count that high, and every single one is looks exactly the same. It's the coolest thing. But is that when I reached out to you guys, I'm like, I've got an idea, but I don't have a vision. And I'm like, yes. You guys can you run with it? Here's kind of like the idea, the colors. Here's kind of like the number. And what you guys came back with, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it's not often that you work with any company and they meet your expectations. It blows your mind when they absolutely exceed your expectations. And that's what you and your group did. So hats off for that, And Ryan kind of touched on a thing too that I think is cool, is the inclusion of your customers in your social media. He's exactly right. Like it's the biggest kick. Like, man, I wonder if my car is going to be cool enough to at least, are they going to show it on the printer? I've seen you do that. Are they going to show it like I sent a picture of the car and then like, are they going to show the car or will it end up in some of the marketing? And you guys do, it's like, it's real world stuff that's up there. And, that's great. That just makes all of us feel part of your community, which is a great way to do that.
Yeah. And as far as the designs go with, even if you send in a limited amount of information, that really all goes credit goes to Evan. We have a full-time designer who just does the RC stuff. That's his only focus. He he designs RC wraps 8 hours a day. So a lot of that design work, that all it really lands on him. I can't take much credit for that. I used to do a lot of it, but as that part of the business grew to be almost too much for someone doing it half the day, we ended up bringing Evan on, and he's been outstanding with all those designs and keeping track of everyone's specific needs and wants, especially for people who order like fleet wraps. So they'll order 2 now and 2-3 months from now, but they won't really look the same. And I can give you a little story on the fluorescent colors.
Well, the fluorescent colors are banging.
I feel horrible charging that much for them, but during COVID, fluorescent colors became almost impossible to even order. So all those fluorescent colors, another reason the price on those was a little high is because, so Mo, who was our final production guy, he has to go through and like layer all those little tiny pieces on every car that wants them. Yep. And some of them are easy, just numbers. Some of them are very complex. So we're obviously paying his time to do all that, and sometimes it can be pretty time consuming. But the other factor was with COVID, a lot of companies, I think, put a pause on like producing fluorescents, because you got to think like Oracle and some of those big companies, they started focusing more on the PPE end of things than they did some of those other areas. So a lot of that got backed up, and it became just incredibly hard to get. So we ended up having to go through a couple of different manufacturers for fluorescents, which resulted in like different shades of fluorescents because you can't control that in the printer.
Yeah.
And then the price on it just like went nuts. I think it used to be $90 something a roll, and now it's upward of $350 a roll.
My goodness.
That's wild.
So yeah, it's like, I hate to look like I'm being greedy, but it's just expensive, and the time involved in producing it.
I'm staring at 6 cars right now with fluorescent yellow, and for me, it's worth every darn penny. And
they do look sharp.
Yeah, you give Mo a big hug for me, because I got my asphalt wrap, and I'm starting to peel it, and I didn't realize, like, there are a lot of pieces that had to cut out and kind of put together, and I'm like, wow, this must have taken a lot of time. I had to be careful applying it on the car and all that, but once I'm like, wow, this. So yeah, give him a hug for me. Tell him his friend Ryan says hello. But
yeah, especially with those 1RCs, I don't know how he has the patience to do that. Because they're small to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I'm glad it's great. Thanks for sharing that. First of all, being that transparent, but it makes me feel good because it kind of validates what we're doing here, right, with this podcast. Because like we were able to give you a platform to explain that. So everybody's, most people are going to think, oh man, $28. This way you had an opportunity to really explain it, right? That you wouldn't be able to do on like a 90-second TV spot if the news came out or wherever, so you can really we can put the brakes on here and we can talk through some of that stuff. And that's our goal, is like, we just want to be able to give the RC community some real time, right? We're not stuck under any certain time frame and things like that. So again, we really appreciate that you shared that, because that's valuable.
It's important.
Yeah, and it's stuff that people don't necessarily think about, nor is it really their responsibility to think about. But just like any craft, there's a labor of love factor in there. But at the end of the day, people got to get a paycheck. So
you've got 8 employees that you've got to, you've got to keep this business moving, and not only provide for your family. So, I get that part of it. I don't want your maybe current customers or even potential customers to get, to turn away from, a $70 wrap, because I'm telling everyone it is worth its weight in gold. There's nothing better than getting that tracking number, when your print is heading out the door. But we talk about, or you had mentioned too, some of the team drivers or, sponsorships and some of the stuff you do. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because you mentioned there was something very unique about it. Would you mind diving into that for a little bit?
Yeah. So during COVID, I was trying to come up with a way to have reps without like all the mumbo jumbo of like regional reps, and it's just a lot to manage. And I know that's typically how a lot of like the big RC companies are kind of ran with the sponsorships. Like they delegate it out to regional reps, and they kind of deal with that region's drivers. I thought it'd be more interesting and cool, and almost more incentivizing for the customer that wants to represent us. It's not a lot of it's not contractual, and the guys who do it, they almost never leave, and there's nothing tying them to staying. So I usually bring in typically a customer that's been a customer for a while, that's a good representative. They'll either reach out to me or I'll reach out to them, and we'll set up a checkout code. So the cool thing with those are everyone's familiar with checkout codes, but we're able to track. So actually, kind of got this idea from podcasts. So when you're listening to a podcast, you'll hear like use checkout code RC Underground and get 10% or whatever. So what those companies do is they track those codes when they're used, so they know how much traffic they're getting from those platforms.
Yep.
So what we ended up doing, we actually started this with one of my now really good friends, Kevin Smith. He runs Dirt Oval RC, and he used to work with the some of the big sprint car teams. He was just started out as a customer. He's a loyal customer. He always promoted us really well without any incentive. So we ended up giving him, I think it was a 20% code for himself to use, as well as a 10% code that he could give out to, someone comes up to him in the pits and wants to know about his reps, or just a buddy, or he's just making a Facebook post in general and he wants to promote it. He can throw that code out there, and we'll be able to see how many people he's bringing in, like new, how many are repeat. And at the end of each year, we kind of analyze that, and those customers, we often, if they're promoting really well, we'll increase their discount. So we have some drivers that are up to 35-40% off.
Wow.
Coupon codes for themselves, and it's unlimited, so they can use it 100 times a year, once a year. It doesn't really matter, but
can you
it's a
maybe want to text me that code? I'm kidding. No, that's a smart way to do it, Derek. You got to analyze that stuff and see how much traffic's actually driving that, right?
Right. And like you guys were saying, if you buy 5-6 wraps in a year, you're tying up, anywhere from $400 to $600 in a year. If you can save 20 to 40% on that, and still, we build a good relationship. Like I was mentioning, a lot of the guys, Kevin Smith, TJ Greer, they started out as customers, and now we're kind of like lifetime friends. So it's not just slinging my product for me. We become good friends, and we try to also spread the wealth. We do a lot of traditional advertising, like we sponsor races, we do door prizes, all that kind of stuff too. But it's just that those aren't as personal. So like when I go racing, you'll hear the guy read the sponsor off during the race. You'll see a banner, but you don't ever really think about it doesn't really stick with your mind. It's just kind of all background noise for the most part, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I think this gives. So when I have a team driver there, he's going to take a minute, and he's going to kind of like what we're doing now. He's going to walk you through why this is what you want to buy,
right?
As opposed to just hearing Carpy's right off during in between heats or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. There's no doubt about it. It's again, you guys came up with such a cool design. There's no way that I could have ever envisioned it in my head. And now it's like, oh yeah, that's Ryan's car. That's one of Retzlaff's cars. And, I have to stick with it now. Now you guys set the hook. Mm-hmm. I can't get it out. But yeah, I think that's a great way to go about the marketing piece and helping out those loyal customers, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are going to help sell the product more than any type of Instagram post or whatever. It's that word of mouth. and
Yeah, for sure.
expressing how great you are to work with. That's actually pretty brilliant.
Yeah. And I mean, I've always kind of believed that like people will buy from people.
Very
So the
true.
more personable you can be, which I mean, when you got a million orders coming through, it's kind of hard to always be super personal with every person that comes through. Um, which is why we do a lot of it over email, because realistically, as much as we'd love to talk on the phone to every person, it's just not feasible to also get everything done. Um, so when we have reps out there, they can, when we go to races, we talk to people, but to have reps all over the country that promote it and they get value out of it, not just in the wrap, but and not just like financially, but they get value when they see that their friend ordered and they see it show up on the Instagram post. They contributed to the overall goal, I guess, and I think that's powerful, I'd say.
Right. So, Derrek, throughout this whole thing, early on in the conversation, and then you just mentioned a little bit ago, and now it's really piqued my interest, is you mentioned when you get to go racing. So, what have you raced? What do you race?
Tell me all about it.
Where do you find the time to prep a car, let alone go race a car?
Well, I'm lucky. So I don't get to race much. I race maybe 5 times a year. We race carpet oval pan cars.
Those cool next gen oval bodies on those cars.
Oh, the next oval bodies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just wondered.
Yeah, it's actually my dad's company.
I figured as much. That's why when you said that, I was like, yeah, I know those guys. In fact, yeah, those are nice.
Yeah,
I actually
but
have
speaking
one.
of him, the only reason I really get to go racing is because he actually builds and preps all my stuff. I'm like a hired gun almost.
Nice.
The jets. I just get to show up. It's ready to go.
See, I try to say that, but it's because Ryan works on my car just because I'm bad at it. It's that.
I'm not a race. One in the shop. You got to, dude. Yeah. You got to put in the work.
Yeah. I'm not a hired gun. But there's times he'd like to put a gun to my head because he's like, "What are you doing to that car?"
Yeah, that's all right. You're a wheelman though.
So how do you start with? Okay, Shark comes out with a new body, or McAllister comes out with a new body. We need to create a wrap for this. How does that even? What in a short version, obviously, of how that process works.
Well, I would love to give away all the secrets, but I can't give away everything, right?
Right.
No, I mean it's a somewhat tedious process. You got to go through and get the measurements. Some photo, like a lot of photo angles, and then once we get everything done and dialed in, we'll have to go through and do a couple test cuts, fit, trim, scan, those kinds of deals. Just a lot of bends you have to take in account for. So to get like when you're putting that hood on it, there's the wave and then the kick up where the wheel wells are, and then it dips down in the front. Like getting a pre-cut piece that's going to fit exactly like you said. You don't want to be trimming all of that, but there's a lot of trial and error to get that piece. So when you put it on, it kind of just flows where it's supposed to without a lot of wrinkles and cutting and trimming and heating. The way we try to stylize our templates, I think some of them would look sweeter if we maybe did it a different way. But what we really wanted was for anyone to take the wrap out of the box and put it on with ease. So we try to make everything just fit how it should. And that's really our goal. So those templates do take some time, a lot of trial and error. Usually we'll go through 4 or 5 templates per body before we get it where, you can just pick it out, stick it on, nice and easy. With minimal trimming or anything like that.
Yeah. And like I said, it shows because you got a monkey like me putting them on and they look darn good, and I've gotten better at it, but even the first one took no time at all. And like I said, I experimented with some of those eBay wraps and they were a pain. I mean, hours to put a wrap on. Jesus. It's like, man, I get them and I'm like, all right, I got 15 minutes. Let's go. Come on, set the stopwatch. Just don't require.
We sell a buttload of Mud Boss bodies, right? So
Yeah.
we offer those. We offer them to be installed just because we sell so many of them. It's worth stocking the bodies. I think I got it down to like 9 minutes per Mud Boss body for an install.
To do an install. Wow.
Yeah.
Stop doing that, because
Yeah.
now I'm gonna buy a Mud Boss. I'm gonna want to buy another Slash and build that one up, because now I kind of want to see what that looks like with my color scheme on it. Dang.
Mud Bosses are cool to wrap because there's so much area.
Yeah.
It's just a big old flat panel. There's not, there's no limitation. You can just blow logos up and numbers and do unique stuff with them. Did you guys, off chance, did you guys see my pan car I had? So this is, I guess, if you're asking for weird stuff, the pan car that I posted maybe a month or two ago, it was all white and it was all rusty looking.
I think I did see that one.
Oh yeah, now that you mentioned that, yeah.
So we don't offer this yet because I haven't figured out how to offer it and have it be easy for like every user to use. But all of that is actually printed and on the inside of the body.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a Jason Jinx. You owe me a Coke.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you don't feel anything on the outside. All looks painted. It's pretty slick.
Ooh.
I'll be honest, it's a nightmare to put on.
Well, I was gonna say in just a little bit ago, said, yeah, no, we're not doing anything new or innovative. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That will like revolutionize things.
So I guess when I go racing, since I have such a large gap in between the races I go to, my goal, I guess, every time I show up is I want something that everyone's just like, whoa, or what the hell is that? I think the one before that it was similar, where it was on the inside. I did a Wendy's paint scheme. On the hood, I had like the Baconator, like the French fries going down the side and stuff.
Well, what about, I like Coors Light. Everybody who knows me knows that. I'm a Silver Bullet fan. Are you guys able to do that chrome? Do you remember Sterling Marlin's car years ago? I mean, that thing was just the sun would hit it, and you go blind.
Yeah. We can do chrome. The only, I guess, limitations would be maybe some of the RC stuff because it's so small and the chrome. So the chrome isn't as stretchy like a vinyl is.
Okay.
It's almost more plasticky. So cutting really fine, small things over, because the chrome is an overlay, kind of like the fluorescent.
Yeah.
That might make it a little challenging, but like if you're doing just bigger, solid areas, not much of like the pinstriping and real thin stuff. Yeah, you could totally do that.
All right, I gotta send.
One of the cool ones I saw was that we did was, remember Dale Jr.'s Mountain Dew car?
Yes.
Like silver with the mountains on the side.
Yep.
Someone ordered that replica on a Mud Boss, but they did all the silver. They did in a glitter flake.
Oh,
holographic.
I think I saw that car. I think you guys posted a picture of that. Yeah, that thing was hot.
Yeah, it looks sharp.
Unreal.
So I'm going to ask this question, Derek, and if it's a no, then I'll edit it out. So, but did you guys do the sun drop, the Dale Jr. sun drop car, Slash
For the TV show?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But funny story.
Okay. And we'll take all this out.
No, you can leave it in if you want. No matter. Okay. So there was a guy that emailed us and goes, "Hey, I really need this car to look exact. I want to send it to Dale G." And I'm like, that seems like a waste of money. And then like someone must have beat him to it, because it was like the next day I saw on their like Dirty Mo Instagram feed, like, look at this sweet car. And I'm like, damn it, that could have been us.
Yeah.
I think we've connected all the dots, Derek. It's like you guys got the customer service. You obviously have the design talent and ability, the website and being able to order. You got an array of cars that you can do. You have it down that you even, like you said, you try to make it that it's not threatening, right? You get this thing in the mail. Right. You've spent a decent amount of money, but it's not threatening to go, okay, yeah, no, I'm going to tackle this project. I see where everything goes, and it's laid out so you can. Hopefully, through all this, we've explained it to people that they'll understand the value Like once we break it
Oh,
down this way, and I'm just looking at it like through the lens of a customer, and I'm going, okay, now I understand why it costs what it costs, and now I'm a little thinking it's really like could be more. I'm like fortunate this is what
don't tell
this
me that.
costs, you know. Well, think about it, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
the infrastructure that goes into getting to one single finished product that is 100%, 110% customized to you, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, when you peel that back and you look at what that cost is, it's actually really affordable.
Yeah, I mean, there's some wraps that I've been just in the design process. We'll spend 2.5 hours in. So just in like labor costs alone, sometimes it totally justifies it. There's some people that come in with some real crazy ideas, which are welcome. They take time. So, yeah, just in that labor, and then with Mo, you have to print those, layer them, laminate them, cut them, and then they have to go to shipping. A lot of hands involved, a lot of labor and time. So,
And labor
I know
ain't
a lot of
cheap. And
people.
yeah,
Well,
No,
yeah, and I think what
no, not at all.
you know, and again, anybody who's looking at this going, "This is wow, that's really expensive." Try designing a T-shirt. They're going to hit you with a 75 to 100 and some dollar design fee. A lot of places do, right? So, I mean,
Well,
you're getting to do a custom wrap for your car, and kind of all that design. Like you said, it can take hours to design that.
yeah,
That's free. You know, that's got to be
yeah,
thought of in the price.
right, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I think our main focus was to make it an easy process, not only the customer but for us. So that way we're not just getting bombarded with a bunch of requests and trying to filter out who's serious, who's not, collect the payment, figuring out if they paid. I think that's where we also eliminate a lot of error. I mean, we're not perfect. There's always going to be errors, but we're fortunate enough to be able to eliminate a lot of that with the system that we built, where all of our files are organized, things are paid before we even start the process, shipping's all sorted out before it even gets to Evan, so he can just design it, send it to the printer goes to shipping, it goes out the door. There's not like a lot of try to minimize the back and forth, and just the whole process, kind of streamline it so everyone gets what they want. 98% of the time it's perfect, and everyone's happy.
No, it's a hell of a process, and that's a good point. You're paying for something before you even know what it's going to look like, and you don't know when it's going to ship out the door, right? But
Right.
that's what I
Yep.
got to tell you. That's the best part of it, because when you get it, it's everything that you ever imagined, and you got a meatball like me, who's I mean. I'm rattling around single digit IQ points here, but I can put a wrap on that will rival anyone else, and that's what's cool about this.
Audra does a fantastic job. She's the one who does all of our emails and our phone calls, which is actually also my wife. She handles all of that stuff, and she is incredibly patient. And so when she took that position, so she handles all of our customer service, not just the RC, but I was hesitant in giving that up when she came in, because I'm like, there's no way you're going to understand these people are asking for. There's so many variations in bodies and cars, and she doesn't really race. She'll dabble in it, but I'm like, there's no way you're going to learn all of these things. But she could probably tell you more about a sharp street stock body than I could.
Yeah. Well, you guys,
she does a great job of that.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I've had some correspondence with her in the past, and again, all pleasant. And I think the thing, one of the things too I want to mention is, what you do for the hobby, as far as, obviously you're sponsoring racers and things of that nature, but you're also helping out tracks. I see a lot, in terms of the 1RC community, I see a lot of, tracks, and they've got your banners up. I know you've helped us out at the Underground when we had the big Kenman race, which I won, by the way. Sorry, shameless plug. But yeah, I mean, you did a lot with gift certificates, and I know a lot of guys who were, they need a little bit of help or just kind of getting into the sport, they got some awesome gift cards and things for during that day. So that was really cool, what you do for the entire community. So it's neat to see that.
Yeah, and it's not only something that we want to do and like to do, but it's almost a necessity. I mean, a lot of the RC community is a lot of people that donate their time. Like a lot of tracks are ran on the side to the owner's day job. So it's if we can help the track succeed or make it more enticing to get entries, that's good for them and it's good for us. So, I mean, without tracks, nobody needs wraps. So we try to make sure we can help promote or advertise or incentivize people to show up and want to race and enter in the event.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to add, Derek, too, is for a lot of us, like, we're never going to own full size race cars. We're not going to be able to race at a local track. We don't have those kinds of funds, but we want these cars to represent us, right? And when we go to the track, we want to be, yes, it's a hobby, and yes, we're racing toy cars, but we want to be as professional as we can. And when your radio is wrapped and your car is wrapped, and maybe you got some special stuff on your pit box and all that, I mean, it just envelops you into the hobby, and just you're personalized. This is like as close to having a well-oiled, organized professional race team as really thousands of us are ever going to get to. And what's interesting, I've had discussions with people outside the sport, right, and know nothing about RC. Some of them have been coming to this podcast and they're like, man, just never realized this hobby is as intricate as it is. And that's the thing. It's you guys bring in the color and the excitement and the wow factor, right? Otherwise, we'd all have black, red, or white bodies with a number on it.
Yeah.
That we had to go buy an AMT model kit to get the numbers out of. Right. I remember those days back in the 70s. That's what we were doing. And here, just the identity alone and just adding that excitement makes you want to, maybe you're out of the points. Maybe it's bad weather, but you're like, you know what? I just got a hot race car.
I look good.
I just want to go see this thing out on the track.
That's my motto, baby.
That's
my motto. I just want to look fast. I'm not at all. What's kind of crazy is I've got a guy that I'm good friends with, and his son runs a limited late model. And he came in, he saw my wrap on my McAllister, on my Slash, and he goes, "Ooh, I think I got a paint scheme for Jake this year." And I was like, whoa. Hold on. Like, you can't copy this one, man. Like, we got to talk to Derrek at Carpy's. There's got to be some rights behind this. Like, you can't just steal my scheme, man. But no, you guys add the pop, the sizzle. You allow us to personalize our cars and really just make it easy for us to do all that, because, we're racers. So we want to race. We don't want to spend all that time, coming up with all these ideas. That's where the value comes in with Carpy's. So Derrek, I got to ask you, where can people get a hold of you? Where can they find all your cool stuff? In terms of your social media and all that, and your website.
Yeah. Our Instagram handles, we have two. We have Carpy's, which is just like our core main business. Then we have, I think it's RC_wraps on Instagram. Yep. Which is specifically all just the RC stuff we do. And then Facebook, Carpy's Print Co. And then I think it's RC Wraps Carpy's on Facebook. And then all of our products can obviously be found on carpys.com.
If you've listened through this thing the whole way, it's worth it. It's a good group of people. What they're doing for our hobby is fantastic, and allowing us to personalize these cars. It's something else. So thank you, Derrek.
No, I appreciate you guys having us on, and, hopefully we can grow the relationship even more.
I hope you found this beneficial, Derrek, to be on here and with us. And I think it's a good story that was told. And we appreciate that, because that's what, we just want to tell stories. We want people to understand what this behind this hobby, the people and the work and the businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great community of businesses that help this economy, right? And I think people just lose track of some of that. So it's fun to put the brakes on, go into the right lane, kind of slow down a little bit.
Hey, no problem. I had a good time. It was nice finally talking to you guys, and I think we had, like you said, a good conversation. So,
yep,
I appreciate it.
Yep, we appreciate you, my friend. So you have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
You the man, Derek.
Yeah, you too.
Take care, brother.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to RC Underground Radio. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, drop us a line at rcuradio@gmail.com. We're curious to know, what do you like? What don't you like? Who would you like us to talk to?
Sounded really weird.
It was weird, but you know what I meant. We're talking about racing, so...
Okay.
You can find us on Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. See you next time on the RC Underground Radio Podcast.
I am a BB in a boxcar.